covering all 4 major sports in the District of Champions. It's the DC Crossover Podcast with your hosts, Mike Cerrone and Ben Simpson.
Hello and welcome to another episode of DC Crossover, episode number 119 of the show. That is Mike Cerrone. I am Ben Simpson. You can find the show on Twitter at the DC Crossover and at Cerrone16 for Mike. And of course, follow the TikTok. DC Crossover Podcast is the place to be. We've taken a little time off here. It is summertime, as you know. This is the off-season episodes. And so, with travel and vacations and weddings and all this different stuff, we're going to take some time off here and there. But this football season, of course, will be action-packed with content for you guys. So in the meantime, we are just kind of cruising our way through summertime. Big show planned for today. We got another draft ahead. But hopefully all goes well this episode because it's been storming here in Northern Virginia, and power's been flickering all night. Wi-Fi's been in and out. Mike, you were out there in the elements. I got your Snapchats. You looked like you were, what was that, Storm Chasers show or whatever? That was you. That was you out there tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I actually saw it coming, and then I was, looking at it off in the distance, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to change my parking spot just so I can watch it come at me.
Right.
And there was actually one time back in the day, I was trying to do an extra credit assignment in 11th grade, and I had to go to this plantation somewhere, like in Leesburg. And Miss Foltz was her name, AP US History.
Shout out.
And, I don't know if she's still breathing, but
I mean,
that was a long time ago. So I had to do this extra credit assignment. And because whenever extra credit was offered, I always did it. I always went after it.
Smart move.
Because I'm like, you know what? I'm not a good test taker.
Yeah,
mainly because
I'm failing all the tests, so you need that extra credit.
I love the projects, homework, all that stuff, because I can ace all that stuff and get a good grade. But testing stuff was not my forte. So my mom remembers this day because I was driving our Ford Mustang at the time, and it was hilarious because this plantation, and at that time we didn't have GPS and all that kind of stuff on our phones.
Print out the MapQuest.
Right. I had to print out the MapQuest. And in Leesburg at the time, I was driving around, and literally at one point I was at a stoplight, and the back half of my car was pouring down rain. The front half was bone dry.
That's nuts.
It was incredible. And I'm like sitting there like, what is happening right now? It's like, I'm in Stranger Things. But it was crazy. So yeah, today was kind of weird because it was like off in the distance, and I'm like looking at lightning bolts go left and right all through the sky. It was pretty crazy, shaking the car and all that kind of stuff. But
summer storms, man. Summer storms are always kind of wacky. You can sometimes you see them coming from far away before they get there, and then tonight. Definitely a crazy night of weather, but it seems to be cleared up, so that's good.
Right.
I know you and I have both been traveling for various weddings and such. I just got back from Omaha, Nebraska, the crown jewel of the Midwest.
Oh yeah, flyover state.
Our boy Ian, flyover state. It's our boy Ian, who has been on this show multiple times in the previous iterations of this show. He did get married, and so shout out to them. Of course, they're down in Mexico now on their honeymoon.
Ooh,
but
Mexico.
Yeah, I was in Omaha. I was texting you throughout the trip and letting you know I hit up the Horseshoe Casino out there in technically Iowa, right across the border, because there's no gambling in Nebraska. You got to go across the border to Iowa. But it's all right there by Omaha. Did a lot of blackjack playing. Did a lot of blackjack losing. Did not go well over the couple days we were there. Did a couple sportsbook bets as well, a little summer league action, because we were at this casino at like 11 p.m. The only thing on was NBA Summer League. There was nothing else to bet on.
Now did Abby go with you? Me and my
no, Abby was stayed
here
in Virginia. Yeah. No, just me solo.
Oh, solo Ben
here.
on the rise.
Yeah. So, it was a good time. We had a big steak dinner one of the nights, at the restaurant. So it was one of those places where it was semi-fancy, old school. And so just a bunch of dudes at a steakhouse, and they wheel out this tray, and they have all the steaks, all the different cuts of the steaks.
Yeah.
Like shrink wrapped and like still I don't think those were the steaks being used for the meal, but they were just like to show you and
Show steaks, yeah.
so that they're showing you here's the fillet, here's the New York strip or whatever. And then at the end he goes, "This is not on the menu," and he holds up and he goes, "This is a 66-ounce tomahawk steak."
Jeez.
66 ounces of tomahawk steak. And my question to you is, do you think, A, you could finish a tomahawk steak at 66 ounces, and B, do you think you could finish it in under, like, let's say like under an hour? Do you think you could finish a 66-ounce tomahawk steak?
That's the problem with steak is that when you look at steak, it's not like it's ground beef or chicken or something like that, because steak is more, and obviously everyone's like, if it's cooked right, it shouldn't be chewy. But, most of the time when you get a steak at a steakhouse, something like that, for the most part, if you're not spending $1,000 on a steak,
right,
it's going to take you a little time to get that bite down and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not
get the meat sweats.
Yeah, I'm not Matt Stoney. I'm not,
Right.
these professional eaters out there. But I don't think I could easily do that, because steak, I love steak. Don't get me wrong. I love steak. But the problem is I don't like seek it out all the time, because
right.
Steaks are like, it's nice. I love to have it, but
It's
I seek
like
out other types.
thing. It's like, how often are you having? Yeah, it's not like we're going to steakhouses for dinner all the time. And like, even I got a 14-ounce like New York strip or whatever, and
Right.
I even I finished it, but even towards the end was kind of like, I'm getting a little full here, and that was 14 ounces of steak.
Right. I could probably finish. I could probably finish 20 ounces, maybe. But like a 66 ounce. I mean, that thing is probably the size of your ass.
It was huge. It was huge. It was unbelievable. And then the other thing I was telling you about is, and you kind of mentioned, I feel like last show we were kind of talking about how both of us, as evidence on the camera version of this show on YouTube, both of us need to lose a little lbs.
Oh.
And there's nothing that will So the straw that broke the camel's back was definitely this weekend, because
for sure.
As I was telling you, you're at I'm with a group of great guys. They were all great, but most of these guys were all pretty in shape guys. So I was clearly the chubbiest of the bunch. So like simple activities like having to walk to the bar and back, or doing these sorts of things. It's like I am become the sweaty guy, because we're like doing these activities, and everybody else who's like skinny, they're totally fine with it. Like at one point we parked on like the 4th floor of a parking garage, and I had to walk down 4 flights of stairs to get to the main level. And by the end, I mean, I was gassed.
Right.
Absolutely gassed. And then, you're wearing the dress clothes, and your man boobs are all over the place, and your guts all over the place. I show up to the fitting for the tux or whatever. Not the fitting. Show up to pick up the tux or the suit. And it wasn't a tux, the suit. And of course, the shirt is a little too tight, and she has to go get me another shirt. And it's like, hey, man, didn't this fit when you got measured like a couple months ago? It's like, yeah, I think it did. Oh, nothing like a nice tight dress shirt just accentuating every roll in your body. It's just disgusting.
Oh, and that's the worst part about it is my metabolism. I even told someone that this weekend at the wedding I was at, I was like, my metabolism is basically the as slow as a snail. Like,
oh yeah,
I'll eat a pack of M&Ms, something like that, and all of a sudden my belt's popping out. It's like, I'm like, what did I just do? And then meanwhile, somebody else is over here eating a bowl of ice cream, and they somehow lose pounds. I hate those people too. I just don't get it, because like literally, I feel like I'm athletic. Well, I mean, I don't know about nowadays because my knees and stuff like that, but the last decade or so, and especially in high school, I mean, in high school I was a little bit more in shape, obviously, but like in college and different stuff like that, I felt like I was more in shape, that right. I could go out there and compete and pick up game basketball and all these different things. But then all of a sudden you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're like, how am I able to do these things? Because I'm like, I get out of the shower and I'm like walking to my car, and it's like, 50 feet away, and I'm like sweating somehow. Like the other day, I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were going to see Top Gun, like we talked about previously. Mm-hmm. I looked at Jess and I was like, I don't know why. I don't know if it's my hair still wet from the shower, because obviously I showered right before. And I was like, I don't know if my hair's still wet or I'm sweating my ass off. I don't understand which one is it, because I can't stop. I don't know what's going on.
Once you start like thinking about the sweating, it just makes you sweat more. And then you're just like sweating buckets. I mean, dude, I remember when I started at this job like 4 or 5 years ago, and I I was relatively heavy back then, but not as heavy as I am now. But like I still like I remember like the coworkers all like took me out for a lunch or something like that, and the restaurant for some reason was like really kind of warm. And like, and
Oh
then you're
no.
getting your food and you're eating and you're talking. And my move was I kept like going to the bathroom just to grab paper towels and just wipe the sweat off like the
Yeah.
back of my hair and the top of my forehead. But I
Yep.
knew the whole time I was like, man, they're probably like, why is this guy so sweaty? Like we're just getting
Yeah.
lunch or whatever. It's just summer and
Uh,
humidity are not a fat guy's best friend,
yeah.
man.
And that's the funny thing is going into the wedding that I was at this weekend, I went to the rehearsal dinner and I get there and I was a little early because my girlfriend was a bridesmaid and she was running around, doing a bunch of different
Right,
things,
right.
all the duties. And I started laughing because I got there and I was like, and I feel good, like the shirt's a little snug or whatever, but I look decent in it. And the problem was is that when I got there, for some reason, I just started sweating, and I don't know
Oh
why. And
no.
and then all of a sudden, like the groom, who we played golf earlier that day. By the way, my team won.
Oh, nice.
We did a 24-man scramble. That was actually fun. But before that, the groom came over to me and it's like Mike, you good? I
Oh
said, I said,
God.
I said, I was like, yeah, why? He's like, it's breaking a sweat over here a little bit. And I was like, yes, I understand.
Oh
Like,
no. And once it's pointed out, then you're
oh,
like, that's
then I
all
started
you're
going
thinking
more,
about.
and then like then Jess came down and she was talking about my sweat, and
Oh
I was like,
no.
man, I felt so bad. I was like, man, I feel like
That's
a piece of
so
crap. And
brutal.
oh, it was so, oh my gosh. I mean, I always do the bandana in the pocket, no matter where I'm going for the most part.
Right, right.
But like at the point where you have to keep wiping your head because like
Oh,
you just can't stop it.
it's
I
that
mean,
like line, like that layer above
yeah,
between your hair and your forehead, where like the sweat just gathers up, and then like the
yep,
back of the back hair too, like it not back hair, but the back of your
right.
hair, like it starts. Oh man,
And you
and
know
like,
what the best part
oh,
was is that the next day it was a Catholic wedding, so we went into the church, and luckily for me, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna wear a polo into the church because it's before, and it was
yeah,
also raining, like it was pouring down raining this past Saturday,
right.
and I was like, you know what, I don't want to wear my suit, and then because there was a little bit of it was a brief break between that and the cocktail hour and all that kind of stuff, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wear this polo. Thank God I did because it was pouring down raining. My hair could not dry for the entire day, pretty much, because I didn't
Oh
have an umbrella
no,
because my car's in the shop. I don't have an
right.
umbrella here; it's in my car. And all of a sudden, I'm like walking through the pouring down rain. I forgot my pants in the car when I got to the hotel. I had to go back outside. It was a whole
So
whole
you're like sweat and mixed with rain,
yes.
mixed with just yeah.
And
Oh, it's a
dude, it
disaster.
was bad. So luckily, I get there and other people are like, yeah, I think I'm gonna change and all that kind of stuff. Because everyone else was like, man, this is like
Right.
gross and stuff like that. Because it was kind of muggy too and all that kind of whatnot. But I was like, thank God it rained because then it covered up my grossness of being a loser and like having a bead of sweat all the
Oh
time.
yeah.
But there was one person that was there in the church that was like, I mean, they looked like they jumped in a pool because like
Oh,
it was just like they put a sponge over. How you go to field day and they had like the
yeah,
sponge
yeah.
relays.
Looks
They
like they
put a
did
sponge.
the ice bucket challenge.
Yeah, and I was like, whoa. But it was bad because everyone else was I mean, you can't control the weather, obviously.
Right, right.
But it
But
was
that's a
like
good cover.
it was a
When
good cover up.
rain is good cover. I mean, because and we'll get onto the rewind in a sec. But Mike and I just talking about weddings and sweat. I did want to say that there was once. I think it might have even been my Dalton's wedding was, or it might have been a different one where so all the groomsmen had to wear gray suits, and then the ceremony was like in like 90 something
I
degrees.
think it was because you took pictures outside. I remember. I think
Right.
if I
So it
correctly.
was it
Yeah.
was hot, and we're all wearing gray, and so my biggest fear was that I would sweat through like my back sweat or something like through the suit. And because the whole thing is like we had to like turn and face like the groom and bride, so all the audience is behind us. So I was like, if I'm sweating through this suit, the entire audience is going to be like, that guy sweat through his suit,
Look at this
and like
guy.
that's all I thought about, which made me obviously sweat more. So
Yeah.
I'm like, and I kept like touching my back, like, is there sweat there? And I like asked the guy behind me, he's like, what? And I was like, never mind. And like, and it was just terrifying the entire time because it's like the people that do the outdoor weddings, and look, like, outdoor weddings obviously can look nice and be beautiful and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when it's like 95 degrees out and it's August and it's muggy and you're standing there in a suit and you're a fat guy. It's just like, that's my hell. I think my version of hell is me wearing a suit at an outdoor wedding in like 95-degree weather with like an audience of people I know. Like that's my hell.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is we were talking about it, me and Jeff were talking about it, just in general, about, we were like, the perfect wedding is like around October or even like November, possibly, if you can sneak in a good day and it's not like somehow 40 degrees. Because my best friend's wedding, I was the best man, and we were in Virginia Beach, and where it was a nice little venue and whatnot. It was outdoor for the whole entire like ceremony kind of thing. And the best part about it is that literally right when we ended up going there and like walking down the aisle and stuff like that, there was maybe 55 people at the ceremony because it was like more tight, and then everyone came to the reception. The funny thing about it was that they had like stairs that went up, so he was at the top with his wife and stuff like that, and then me and the maid of honor were the next step. The problem was that it was at like 4:30. So the sun, and it was in September. So the sun was like literally right behind a little gathering of trees. So it covered like every groomsman and like all the bridesmaids. Meanwhile, me and the groom, the maid of honor and the bride were in the freaking hellhole of sun, and we're sitting there, and I'm sitting. And the funny thing was that like, they have like the cute flower girls and stuff like that, and they come through and they're like, tossing the flowers or whatever. I'm sitting there like, and then the whatever his name, the priest or the officiant or whatever you want to call him, he was sitting there and he was joking and making these jokes. I'm like, dude, like, and I kept doing, I kept doing like the typical like, like with your thumb, kind of like just like little nudge on your face, trying to like make sure you look decent. And I did not. I was
because
not
the whole thing is just like
thrilled at all.
When you're in that position, it's like, it's not about you, so you have to make sure to not draw attention to yourself. But you're standing there and you're just dying inside, and like you're like, if I like do something weird here,
I think my heart stopped beating for a second.
Everyone's gonna focus on me instead of the bride's gonna hate me, and you're just like, the more you think about it, the more it freaks you out, and the more it stresses you out.
Yeah, and the worst part about it is when you get ready, especially when you're involved in it, and you have the suit. Like for us, just in general, it's not like you're this guy that's a big guy, and he's the big guy, and like I would say me and you were kind of like
we're those tweeners.
Yeah, we're the tweeners. We're in between the hefty set guy and then also the person that's in shape.
We don't get to fully adopt the heavy lifestyle.
Yeah,
like we're not fully in like, that's the fat guy and he like owns it. We're those middle guys who are like, we shouldn't be this fat, but we are, and we're in that middle ground.
But that's the worst part, is when you are that, then all of a sudden you start getting ready, and when you start putting the suit on, and then you're like, man, this is getting really nerve-wracking, and like the anxiety starts to kick in, and all that kind of stuff. Like, how do I actually look in this? Like, especially when you get measured for a suit, and then all of a sudden you put the suit on, and you're like, man, this is.
Because it's usually like months later. Yeah. And like, so like, that's what happened to me, is like, thank God I got to try it on again at the shop, because like, dude, if I didn't, I would have been wearing this tight white dress shirt with just like looking like I got double D's and like, like my gut just hanging out. I mean, it would have been bad.
Did I tell you the for that wedding, it was a nice suit and everything like that. The problem is everybody else got like slim fit pants, and I'm like, wow, I don't get slim fit pants. I got regular, and then all of a sudden you see this one picture where my legs, I'm just standing still, and we're kind of in a group setting, we're like putting arms, on each other's shoulders or whatever. I literally look like if I jumped out of a helicopter from like 1,000,000 feet, I could float down with these parachute pants. No. I literally like an MC Hammer coming down, and no one paid attention except for when I pointed it out, and they were like, "Oh my, dude!" It like literally you couldn't see. There was no like light coming through the middle, like the thigh gap. Like, it wasn't like my thighs were touching. It was just that the pants were so damn wide. That it was, I literally, like I said, if I was a skydiver, I could literally not even have a parachute.
You could have floated down easily like a feather to the earth. That is brutal. We will move on into the rest of the show, but I'm sure those at home can relate to some of these stories. Even if you're not like fat like us, you gotta relate to some of this stuff. Let's hit up the rewind machine. A chance to kind of just talk about some brief stories in the previous week in DC sports. Not a lot to talk about, of course. The Nats, again, we're not going to give you the full game-by-game breakdown these days because the Nats are so bad. Basically, they lost 2 of 3 to the Phillies. Game 1, 11-0. They beat Philly 3-2 in Game 2 and lost to the Phillies 5-3 in Game 3. And then a 3-game set against the Braves, lost 12-2, 4-3, and 4-3 in 12 innings. The Nats are now 30-58, 5th place in the NL East. The big question for them will be what they do at the trade deadline in August. Because they moved around the trade deadline, so now it's in August instead of July. So there's a little bit of time here to see what happens. We got the All-Star break coming up soon as well. In Caps land, the Caps, Mike, they are going to have a new goalie next year because they didn't extend the qualifying offer to Samsonov. They also traded Vitek Vanacek to the Devils for the 37th pick and the 70th pick in the draft. So we'll see. I mean, it looks like they're looking at some veteran goaltenders. We'll get into this probably within the next few days or so, or next few shows or so. And then the Wiz signed 37-year-old Taj Gibson to a 1-year deal and DeLon Wright to a 2-year, $16 million deal. And DC United install Wayne Rooney. He is back, and now he is their head coach as they are 5-2-10. So actually, it was funny, Mike. We actually had some stories this week in some of the other sports. Any of these between the Caps and the Wiz? Any of these, in particular, you want to comment on?
Well, honestly, when you're looking at Vitek Vanacek, the whole entire trade with that, I like the trade. You got a decent pick in the second round and whatnot in the 30s, and then you got another. I think it was a third round pick.
Yeah,
I forgot. I think it might have been in the 60s or 70s. I forgot exactly which one that was. So you basically gave up him to get a better second round pick because, again, yes, you obviously need goaltending and everything like that, but I think this past season kind of set the tone for what this organization has at the goaltender spot because no one really took the reins. We talked about it for weeks, honestly, throughout the season that this team doesn't have a solidified number one. At times, Samsonov would go out there and he'd have 3 or 4 games where he'd have 1.7 goals against and a 92, 93 save percentage or something like that. And then all of a sudden he'd have 3 games in a row where he let up 4+ goals, where it was like, what just happened? And then you have Vitek Vanacek who comes in and then he does the exact same thing. It was, like I said, it was a roller coaster of a season, mainly because of the goaltenders. And now when I saw the Vitek trade, I was like, okay, they're getting draft capital. They're not going to move forward with him. The Devils obviously need more help for the most part because they're a reeling team and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you're looking at Ilya and saying, if they don't have a qualifying offer and if he's going to be a free agent, then who do they got between the pipes?
Right,
I mean, you're not going to bring Zach Fucali up. That's the biggest thing. You're not going to have Zach Fucali come up and be the starter for the Washington Capitals, who can be a contender for the season. So I just think that they have some type of plan in place. And if it involves Samsonov, great. If it doesn't, then they have to get somebody who's a proven veteran to come in there because me, you, and Dan in our group message talked about if Samsonov is moving in as the number one, they can bring in a qualified veteran who is, maybe on their last leg or something like that for the most part, kind of like we were trying to do with Lundqvist, and see if they can actually be like a great fill-in guy and say, Samsonov, there's no one in your shadow. Go take the reins and move forward as we drafted you to be. So I just think it's kind of odd. We'll have to see what McClellan does in general to see what he has in place, because it's always difficult in hockey because it's not like the NBA or the NFL where there's always that like 1 to 5 players on your team that say, oh, I want to trade, or I want this, or I want that. Hockey, and especially baseball too, because baseball, the contracts are so long, but in hockey, it's so difficult because you never really know the innards. I mean, just look at the injuries. When they put someone on the injury list, they're like, oh, it's an upper body injury. Okay. Yeah. Well, in the NFL, the guy has a broken neck or something like that. Like something's going on.
Be anything. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the biggest thing is I hope that McClellan has a plan in place to put forward somebody that's qualified that actually can maybe win us some games, by standing on their head and everything like that, and put them in place, because obviously, like we said before, the end is coming near with Ovechkin, Backstrom, and TJ Oshie, and so on and so forth. John Carlson's getting up there, even though he's still in his young 30s. I just think that right now you have to stay relevant between the pipes, because honestly, I thought they kind of missed out on an opportunity with Braden Holtby. Our friend Andrew Gillis said that's probably not going to happen. He was a free agent. Why not sign Samsonov and bring Holtby back in there? See if Holtby can compete for a job in a place that he's beloved, for a cheaper price, obviously, than what he was going to possibly sign for when he left. So honestly, that's neither here nor there. But at the same time, you're looking at it and saying, I hope McClellan has something in place for this team to move forward.
And then, Wayne Rooney, head coach. I mean, kind of big news as far as here locally. I mean, obviously he really was a big part of DC United making the playoffs a few years ago. Part of that Costa and Wayne Rooney tandem on the offensive side that really shone a spotlight on DC United that they hadn't really had for a while.
Right.
And then now he is coming back after being gone and actually coaching overseas, coaching Derby, and now he's back and hopefully he's the guy to turn the ship around, because they just lost 7-0 the other day against Philadelphia Union, so they need some help. They need some help badly at 5-2-10. It's probably not going to be this season. It's going to be tough to turn things around, but hopefully heading into next year maybe he can right the ship. But kind of cool to have a name like that here locally.
Right. And he's going to have to be the one to produce something more for this team. I think, honestly, when you're looking at Wayne Rooney, he has the style of the EPL and everything like that, which you're an EPL type fan. I'm more of a La Liga fan. And when you're seeing some of these teams in the Champions League go at it, you're looking at the La Liga and the EPL go at it in those Champions League games, whether it's like, say, Arsenal and Real Madrid or whatever it may be. When it comes to La Liga is more of attack. We don't want to sit there and possess the entire time or whatever. But EPL, a lot of these teams, they have great attackers and stuff like that and strikers, but they have tons of great midfielders in the EPL, and they always go out there and they make sure they possess and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully what Wayne Rooney can bring is that EPL style to DC United, and hopefully keep these games close and, try to sneak out points here and there. And obviously this season, like you said, it's not gone, but at the same time, you think that, okay, next season is where he's really going to be tested, in the sense that we want to see some type of change in the style of play that DC United has, and also their outcomes, because 7-0's terrible. But overall, I think that when you're looking at it, if he brings that EPL possession style type of play, I think that can actually help this team a lot.
So we'll keep an eye on that, and as DC United continue their season. Right now, again, doesn't seem like this season will be the one they make some noise, but you never know. Still plenty of season left. That's the thing with the soccer seasons, is that they're pretty darn long.
We had hope because the Nats have been so bad that, we can watch DC United this summer, and then obviously
it's been tough. I mean, I've been watching here and there, but you're right. Once they went on like a 5-game losing streak, I was like, man, this is getting tough to watch. A little tough to watch here.
Right.
But we'll move into our draft. Yes, we have another draft for you today, and this was going to be timed closer to July 4th, but of course, with vacations and trips and celebrations, we didn't get a chance to do it that week, so we are moving it to this week. And it's not like this is something that doesn't still hold relevance. It is America.
Right.
This is the America draft, Mike. And so the let's go over the stipulations for a moment for the people at home. So in my eyes, the things that we're going to be drafting today are like, some of the best things in America, or things that are
our favorite
American.
things in American.
Yeah. Favorite things in American, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of different ways this can go. There can be, I'm not going to give away any picks here, but there could be objects, there could be food, there could be
topics.
Topics. There's a lot of different things. So the graphic for this should be interesting today for the for the voting. So if you're listening to this on Tuesday night, the graphic will probably be up on Wednesday on Twitter, and we'll run that through a few days so you can vote for your favorite team between Mike and I. And I believe last draft I had the number 1 overall pick. So I
thought I did. Because I think the last draft we did was the sit down chain restaurants.
It was sit down chain. Okay, so so you picked first last time. Okay, so then we'll alternate, and I will go first this time.
Are we gonna have? Do we want to have some draft like subtle music?
I was thinking about that. Well, we had. I feel like.
Because we have the draft sound, but we can do two sounds at once, right?
I don't think I can with this thing,
I
unfortunately.
can.
Yeah, well, next time we should have figured this out for the next draft.
All right.
I was like, do I get like America music?
Because we can sit there and just play like Aerosmith.
Just Star Spangled Banner over on repeat and repeat.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the America draft.
Hit it.
It is my pick, and as I will not play the sound yet because I'm still considering where to go here. And actually, I do because on my draft board. And I was telling you earlier, and I actually have a couple that I had here. So I maybe have 9 or 10 different things here that I'm interested in drafting today. Right. So, all right, I think I know where I want to go here.
I'm so excited with this.
Okay, so this one's a little interesting. It's a little out of the box.
Oh.
But for my number 1.
He's swinging for the fences in the first go.
Overall pick in the America draft, I am picking.
oh no.
No, I'm picking the USA chants. Chanting USA.
God. Dude.
Think about this.
That's your first overall pick?
Think about this.
That's like Tiger in his prime and you go out there and pick Phil Mickelson.
Think about Phil Mickelson had a great career. Think about this, Mike. What other country in the world has a name that fits so nicely into a chant like we do? The 3 letters USA. Think about the magic of being at like a bar and, it's Olympic time or it's like whatever. And like suddenly one person starts a USA chant. The whole bar is chanting USA. It's one of those chants where you're guaranteed in a crowd to make that happen. No matter where you are in the country, if you start a USA chant, you are guaranteed to have other people chant along with you. Now, look. Maybe I did take this a little too early, but I'm proud to chant USA anytime, any day of the week. Mike.
Not gonna lie, I didn't even have that on my list. But all right, I will give it to you. That's very American. That's very especially it's huge when we're in the Olympics. Mainly for I would say I don't even know what sports usually do that for. What
any of them. That's the thing.
Yeah,
like,
but it's like
the chant just breaks out whenever. I mean, like. Dude, you go to like let's say a tailgate anywhere across the country for any football, any sport, anything, and you just start chanting USA, USA. You're going to get everyone else to start chanting it too, man.
Okay. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
Okay. I'm just telling you.
I'm going somewhere totally different.
That's fine. I told you I have a list of very different things.
Okay.
They're all over the place.
So going on with things that are American and just things that are just superb when it comes to coming to the great Estados Unidos. I have to go with this pick. It's in. The pick is in. My first overall pick for the winning team to be is Costco. You got to go with Costco.
Costco.
Mainly because you're looking at some deals. You're looking at everything under the sun. You can get where can you get a kayak and a bowl of pistachios in the same place?
Probably Walmart.
Okay. Whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, think about this. Here, and I will speak in defense of your pick here. Costco is a pretty. I mean, yes, Walmart you can get a lot of different things, but Costco is where you can get like 50 of those things in one trip.
Exactly.
Instead of getting one little box of popcorn, why not get 150? And you can store them. And it is and also Costco does have. You got the food samples. I don't even know if they do those right now because of COVID.
I don't think they do those right now.
But when they are doing those, which they will get back to that because this is America. We got to do the samples.
Yes.
You can walk around the store. You can shop. You can get a little stick of Swedish meatballs and little mini hot dogs. And you can also, if you so choose, go on over to the food court.
Yeah.
Get yourself a big old hot dog.
Just about to mention that. And then the best part is that the Costco, I don't know if it's the founder or CEO or whatever his title is, even though they did raise the price when it comes to like I think the chicken bakes or whatever. They said it will never change the price of the hot dog and free refill drink combo.
Right.
That's $1.50. You can't get a better ding dong over there and a nice soda, for $1.50. I mean, you can literally get one for your entire family and it'll cost you like $6. Like it's
Right.
ridiculous.
Right. No, I don't have a Costco membership right now, but my parents did growing up, so I took many trips to Costco, and it was one of those kind of wild places as a kid to go because it's this gigantic warehouse. You're scared that if you accidentally like walk down the wrong aisle and lose your parent, you're gone. They're gone. They're gone forever. You're never getting back home.
You can get a $5 rotisserie chicken.
Yeah, that's one of the. I mean, there was some like NFL or NBA player who said like in high school or college, like he was able to lose like 50 pounds because all he did was he would walk 2 miles to Costco every day, pick up a rotisserie chicken, walk the 2 miles back, and that was his like only thing he ate for the day. And,
right.
like that's what he survived on. And you got the food there, you got the samples, you got the big. I mean, you can get a lot of different things. So I'm not knocking Costco. The parking lot is chaotic.
Oh yeah, that's not good. The last thing the last thing I will say about it. Well, I went yesterday on a Monday and it was chaotic. So let's be honest here. I will say the last thing about Costco that they added, which is phenomenal, is the self-checkout option because the sole fact that you have these people that go in there and that you look like they're preparing for an apocalypse because they have 2 carts, their family's running around, their kid is half naked, and all of a sudden you're like, yo, I just came in here for 3 items. Like, and I just sit here and wait for an hour for this person to scan their life savings away. And I said, you know what? When I see that self-checkout, obviously anxiety creeps up when you're doing self-checkout every now and then, but Costco self-checkout, when you're going in there and it's easy to scan, done, get the hell out of there. That's the best part.
Right. I'm with you. And I do think also shout out to Costco Gas. Costco Gas, that's where you can definitely get a deal. That's a chaotic line as well, especially during all the gas prices being so high. Costco Gas is the place to be.
Indeed.
My next pick here. So this is an interesting one.
The first one wasn't?
Well, yeah, that was interesting as well. So, and hear out my explanation for this, okay?
Okay,
I feel like I'm going to be explaining a lot of my picks.
Jeez.
My pick here is college sports.
Okay.
Because
that's reasonable.
In other countries, while there are colleges, and I'm sure there's college teams, college sports is not what it is here in the U.S. And I'm talking I'm not going to give away any other potential picks. I'm talking specifically college sports. It could be football, basketball, baseball, whatever. I think there is something very unique and American about how much we celebrate college sports and our fandom of the colleges that we go to. I really just don't, from what I understand, that's just not really a thing in other countries and around the world. Like, they go to colleges, they enjoy their colleges, but they're not like wearing the shirts everywhere, the hats, they're not supporting the team and all that sort of stuff as much. They're more supporting the professional teams and things like that. So collegiate sports and our love of those, I think, is a purely American thing and a really awesome thing. Obviously, we love college sports. So
yeah, and just going along with what you're saying, you're talking about bowl games. You're talking, I mean, despite the the Campbell's Chunky Noodle Soup Bowl, those kind of weird ones. I'm talking about
the quirks. That's the quirks you like about it too.
Yeah, because you can sit there and do bowl pick'ems and stuff like that, where you have South Dakota State Technical College or all these different random teams that are like, how is this team even a thing? Right. You have March Madness, you got all this type of thing. So I agree with that. You didn't have to really explain that too much.
And you get the last point is, you get there's everywhere from the small conferences that have their own fandom all the way up to your Big Ten or your SEC and stuff like that. Like, there are rabid fans in all of those groups and that sort of thing. So yeah, college sports is my pick.
Alrighty, so I already have my next pick.
Oh, okay.
It's so easy to pick this one.
All right, I'm interested.
I have to say that thanks to just the easiest thing that you can think of about America, which I'm not going to sit there and say because obviously it might be a pick later on, who knows. I'm going to have to go with my second pick overall is flyovers. I love me some flyovers. When you're sitting there and you're watching your team on TV, whether it be baseball, football, whatever it may be, and you see those F-18s or whatever just fly over, got the smoke going behind them and all that kind of stuff, or a big, huge, stealth plane, whatever they're called nowadays. You see those flyovers after the national anthem of your country is being sung by some, has been for the most part that's on American Idol or something like that no one ever knows.
Sure.
That's why I'm not saying the national anthem sung at a Super Bowl or something like that, because usually by someone you never know. The flyover bit is just so great. I mean, I can't think of anything better than saying it's fantastic.
It's a moment.
Because you think that you always have those dads out there. It's like, that's why we're number one. It's like those the guys always say that because they're like, that's America right there. It's a flyover, right. And then all of a sudden you're like, play ball or let's go or whatever you want to say.
Right.
Like the first Super Bowl when The Rock was going nuts and stuff like that.
It's a staple. It's a staple
exactly,
of the big games. It's always going to be a thing. Yeah. No, I can see that. And that is, I can't imagine that they do that. I mean, you and I've watched international soccer for forever. They don't do anything like that for those games, I feel like. And, I don't really see other countries really doing that. So, yeah, I think it is a purely American thing. That's a solid pick. I don't really have a big rebuttal there.
Okay,
I
thanks.
have my next pick ready to go as well. I mean, we're just rocking and rolling.
Well, we've had these picks for a while now, so we're good.
And like we've talked about before, it's really about like the fourth and fifth pick, not necessarily the first and second pick. My pick is in, and I am going with the company that was founded in 1940, 82 years ago in San Bernardino, California, McDonald's. I'm going with the Golden Arches McDonald's because here's the thing. McDonald's, and I'll tell you a couple things here. It is the world's largest restaurant chain by revenue.
Okay.
69 million customers daily in over 100 countries, across thousands and thousands of restaurants. I think there obviously is some stigma around like, all right, it's unhealthy, blah blah blah. The Golden Arch, you can be anywhere in the world. You see those golden arches, you think America. Like that is for better or for worse,
Right.
And
right.
And I think like if you're in a foreign country and you don't know, let's say you're not sure about the food, you don't know what to go get. When you see those golden arches, you're like, hey, that's going to taste a little bit like home. It's not going to taste the exact same. I know McDonald's in different countries have different menus and things like that.
Yeah,
but you are bound to have some of that taste of home. And then also if you're in other countries, you see McDonald's, you think America and that sort of thing. And again, all of this is kind of for good and bad because obviously, we're real fat in America. So like, McDonald's is a big part of that. But I'll tell you, things like the Big Mac and McDonald's and things like that, it's just like it's a purely American thing,
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's founded in the States and everything like that. And I can't go against it. I mean, it's great. I think you could have encompassed a little bit more when it comes to that. But at the same time,
sure,
it's a staple. It's a staple.
I decided to go. I know what you're saying that I could have gone more broad, but I wanted to go with just specifically McDonald's because it is the biggest dog in the game.
Instead of getting the Sharpie, you had to get the fine point Sharpie.
I got the fine point. Sharpie. So as we before Mike gives his a third pick, I want to remind everybody where we're at right now. So this is the America Draft. I have drafted the Team USA chant. College sports and McDonald's. Mike has drafted Costco and flyovers. Mike, your third pick.
So I have some really good ones. Man. All right, you know what? I'm just gonna say screw it, and I'm gonna go with it. So my third pick this is kind of a broad stroke for the most part, but it hits home for me because
Sure.
I grew up with this for the most part. I was born 1991, but my dad's kind of an old soul. He was born 1963. And I'm going to go with muscle cars. Muscle cars.
Yeah, this was on my list.
Are something that's near and dear to my heart. I went to my very first car show in Ocean City, and it's grown ever since then. Back in 2000, I believe it might have been 2007, if I'm not mistaken. My dad actually, and my dad and my mom, my my dad got permission from my mom to buy this car for me as my very first car. I had a 1974 Chevy Nova Super Sport. And it's still in my parents' garage. Obviously, once I get a bigger house and stuff like that, I'll probably put it in my garage and I'll probably tune it up and everything like that. But it still runs, everything like that. And my dad had this one car back in the day that I still vaguely remember. And he had a 1987 Buick Grand National, and it was the fastest production car off the line coming out of the factory. And just going to the car shows and seeing Barracudas, seeing Chevelles, seeing Mustangs, seeing like Mach 1 Mustang is my favorite, seeing Stingray, Corvettes, seeing all those different things. Those cars are they just scream America.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're talking to a guy with Detroit roots. Yeah, no,
exactly.
I know. Cars. Yeah, the muscle cars was on my list. I had a specific brand, but I'm not gonna I'm not gonna pick that now because you took those. So yeah, I think muscle cars is. I think that's.
Well, that's the thing too. Is that when you say specific brand, it's hard to because you got Ford, you got Chevy.
That was on my list.
Plymouth. You got. I mean, you got so many different ones out there that you can choose from. And that's the thing is, people have their favorites, and you have Dodge, you have Chrysler, you have all these different ones that are out there that are just phenomenal cars. And to go to a car show and see somebody that typically doesn't have kids or has a ton of money, whichever one, they use that as their baby. And that's the thing is, some of these cars are just immaculate. And it's crazy to see. But muscle cars is my third pick.
I like that pick. Again, it was on my list. You did take that one from me. So now we are all evened up. 3 picks a piece. We have 2 left here. I like where I'm going to go here. This is another kind of food and beverage related pick. And let me tell you a little story, Mike.
Oh,
in 1976, there was a store. I'm not going to name it yet. In Southern California. And the Coca-Cola company wanted to help these lagging sales at this particular store. And so they suggested to the merchandise manager that he uses a then unheard of 32-ounce cup for their drinks. The guy was like, I don't know about this. Nobody's going to buy a cup this big. But he finally agreed, and he sent a case of 500 cups to a 7-Eleven location in Orange County. And much to his surprise, the store sold out of the cups within a week, prompting 7-Eleven to expand the Big Gulp line nationwide. Big Gulps,
good.
They've been a staple. In 1986 they introduced the 44-ounce Big Gulp, followed by the 64-ounce Big Gulp. There's the Extreme Gulp, Team Gulp. This is
Extreme Gulp. What gulp?
There was a Team Gulp. As well, there was the Lil Big Gulp, which was 22 ounces.
I heard that one.
At 128 ounces, the Team Gulp remains the largest fountain offering in the world.
Was that the plastic like big jug?
It was the jug, I believe.
Yeah.
So I am going with the Big Gulp here. This is
good
it was made in America. It was one of those things where nobody else in the world thought of this idea of, hey, you know what? People are going to want to drink more.
People are thirsty.
They're thirsty people. They want more than just a little 8-ounce or 6-ounce cup or 20 ounce.
Yeah.
They want 32, and no, they want 64. They want 128 ounces, and that is the American dream right there, Mike.
That is the American dream. I mean, honestly, right when you started saying 7-Eleven, I was like, I know what he's going for. I was like, I know it was either that or the Slurpee, one of the two.
Because like nowhere else in the world are people getting a cup that big and filling it up with, their Coke or iced tea or whatever.
That's why we got diabetes.
I mean, exactly. It is why. But there's nothing that makes me happier than if I go to a 7-Eleven and I see somebody standing there with the biggest Big Gulp that they sell, and just for having to stand there for 5 minutes filling up that cup at the soda fountain. It makes me happy, Mike.
It's good. I haven't got a Big Gulp in a long, long time.
Neither have I. Oh yeah, I haven't had a big Gulp in 20 years, but. I still respect it. I respect it.
Yes, when I go to 7-Eleven, it's either for I have to go get a couple Gatorades or something like that, or a Monster or something like that. But I usually always dabble in the rollers.
Sure,
But that's
sure.
just me.
Right.
But that's a good one. I like it, man. I like it. You can't get a more American than a big gulp. Alrighty, so my next one. So I have like 3 for my next 2 picks.
Okay.
Actually, I have a lot more than that. But my main one that I'm going to go with next. Oh man, I have to go with it. I have to.
Yeah, you got
If I don't go with it, then I
Come
would
on, go
be
with it.
I'm going with the best place on earth for me, Las Vegas. Las
Ooh, okay.
Vegas is something that you can go do for a weekend and not go broke unless you are stupid.
Right.
Because literally you can get to Vegas, not nowadays because of COVID and all those different flights and then the inflation and all this kind of crazy stuff that's going on right now. But when I was in college, it was my junior year of college. We went to Vegas for spring break. I spent $400. Now, granted, it was on Spirit one way. We
Oof.
flew to Chicago on United, then from United to Vegas. Or excuse me, it was from DC. It was from Dulles. I'm trying to think of the flight. Sorry, it was it was from BWI all the way to Long Beach on Spirit, and then from there to Vegas, and then whatever. So I flew one connector, not too bad. And I got to Vegas and I stayed there all for $400 for 3 nights and round trip flights. $400
Okay. That's pretty good.
for stay and hotel. You can't beat that. And
No.
I was at the Luxor, and everyone says, "Oh, Luxor is nubs." Okay, sorry, I was
Everything in Vegas is better than any other casino around.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't go to the Bellagio like I was in the movie Ocean's 11.
Right.
Okay, let's be honest here. So honestly, Las Vegas, I just love playing poker. I can literally sit there and buy in for $100 and sit there, get free drinks,
Yeah.
just hang out, talk to people, whatever, all that kind of stuff. And that's what I like to do. And that's one of my favorite things. In Las Vegas, you can go see shows, you can go do different things. You can go to, I mean, there was one story that I literally went to a Calvin Harris rooftop pool party.
That's
Calvin
pretty cool.
Harris was DJ. I bought the tickets for $30 for each of
Wow.
us online, and somehow they were MVP or VIP or whatever the hell letters you want to use tickets, where we skipped a line that was like 300 people deep. And they were
Dang.
$30, and people in the other line paid $150 for their tickets. I don't know how I did it, but you know what? I'm just the deal maker. So I literally got those. And Vegas is the land of opportunity. You can go there, you can make money for the rest of your life, or you can lose money for the rest of your life.
Right.
It's just there where you can get kids stay away from this, but it's
Sure.
literally the best inebriated you can get in your life, because you got oxygen pumping through the casinos and all that kind of stuff, free drinks, everything like that. And not to mention, you can go there and get Panda Express if you really want to for cheap, or the MGM Casino that's $20. I have I've been there twice, so I have a lot of wheels and deals in this situation. But Las Vegas is my pick.
No, Vegas is a good pick there. I mean, I'm just reading a little bit. It says, annually ranks as one of the world's most visited tourist destinations.
Of course.
It has more AAA 5-diamond hotels than any other city in the world. It's a global leader in hospitality. It's the entertainment capital of the world. You're right. I think there are few places, unless you go to like Abu Dhabi or something, like there are few places that have the dining, the food, which is supposed to be incredible. You got the entertainment, like you said, music shows, comedy shows, whatever. You got the nightlife, all the clubs, things like that. You got shopping, you got gambling.
Hey, not to mention though, you can't forget the new stuff, which is Allegiant Stadium and T-Mobile Arena.
True. Now they have the sports too, so it's like there are few cities where you can just get all of that in one location that are like at the top of the industry, sort of thing, like the top hospitality, all top casinos, all that sort of stuff. Vegas is a solid pick, and it's a very interesting place, especially when you fly in, because like you're on the plane, and there's nothing anywhere, and then suddenly like out of the view, suddenly you see this like city take shape in the middle of the desert, and it's
I think it's McCarran Airport. I think it is.
Yeah, AJ McCarran Airport. And yeah, it just comes out of nowhere, and you're just like, okay, this is the place. This is the
favorite place on earth.
I've been there once too. Had a hell of a time as well. Vegas is a solid pick here. I like that pick. I have one pick left. So this one, I would say, slightly cheesy pick here, but I do think it rings true. As my final pick of the draft is going to be the Statue of Liberty. I do think that look. I could. There's a lot of different places I could go. I could
Jeez,
have gone
man.
like Mount Rushmore and things like that. But
That's nubs.
Statue of Liberty is, I think it is one of those things where because of this, and I'm not going to get too cheesy, like I said, but because of the symbolism, because of like the fact that like this is something that like millions of immigrants came and had this journey and came to America, and this was like a symbol for them. I still think, while New York as a whole, I'm not much of a fan of. I don't really love the city at all. I do think it is a pretty cool statue to see, and I think it is something where it's like, if you go to New York City, you got to at least, even though I know people say like tourist trap and things like that, you got to at least see it once, because it is a pretty impressive building, and I do think it has a lot of symbolism there. So out of all I mean, I picked McDonald's and Big Gulp as my other picks. I think I can throw a cheesy pick there and go Statue of Liberty.
It's not a bad pick, but it's just like I okay, sweet. I would love to see it, but it's not like for me. It's just like, okay, it's a Statue of Liberty. It's like I mean, then again, it's if you're in New York, you could probably say that because you've probably seen it a million times or whatever. It's like me with the Washington Monument, like, oh, there's the pencil. It's like it's the same kind of thing. But it's like I just think that like I've seen it in so many movies and I've seen it. It's like, okay, Statue of Liberty, it'd be cool to go and see it, but it's like I don't think it would like blow my socks off if I went to go see it or if I didn't go to see it. I could be 98 years old, and I mean, let's be honest here, I'm not gonna live to 98. I'm a loser.
Not at this
but
rate.
It might be 78. But honestly, it's just like I could live without seeing. That's my biggest gripe about it. So
well, I think some other people would disagree with you, but hey, that's your thoughts.
Okay. So gosh, man, I have so many. We have to mention some notable.
Yeah, we'll go honorable mentions.
And honestly, this episode is going to last a little longer. Who cares?
Yeah,
the contender's not doing it anymore.
Right.
So who cares?
Right.
All right. So, Shiza, man, this one. I'm looking at 5 things. My dad might be upset if I don't pick certain ones. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go. F. All right. I'm going to do it. Screw it. Okay. I'm going to go and I'm going to cater to the older. And the problem is that I don't know if you can get a graphic for this. Is the problem. You might have to like mash something up.
Sure.
Or I can do it for you and send it over to you. I'm going to go with. I don't even know how to word it. All right. I'm going to go with. Screw it. I'm just going to say John Wayne. I'm just going to go with John Wayne.
So you don't want to say like Cowboys? You just want to go specific?
No, because the thing about it was that I have quote unquote, and this is my quote. I have badass movies.
Sure.
I have John Wayne movies. I have the Stallone and Schwarzenegger dueling movies for like almost 2 decades.
Right.
So I don't know. I wanted to say that, but I don't know how to really word that. Do you know how to word that better than that?
No, I mean. I would go, if I were you, I would say like either like cowboy westerns or like, or you can say John Wayne movies.
But hey, rest in peace to James Caan. But James Caan is a legend. But John Wayne, he was in like a ton of John Wayne movies. John Wayne is John Wayne. Marion Morrison is his real name. Yeah. Marion Morrison is probably the pioneer of movies.
Right.
Because he probably shot 2 or 3 movies in a year. No one does that anymore. Obviously, with different technology and stuff like that, you can't shoot an Avengers movie in 1 year or an Avatar movie in 10, apparently. But that's the thing,
is
like
179 film and television production.
So John Wayne, like, and that's another thing going along with the muscle car situation is that me and my dad watch Big Jake, El Dorado, it's just a bunch. I think he was in Wagon Train, if I'm not mistaken, too. But it's like there's a bunch of movies that John Wayne was in. And I remember John Wayne movies, and sometimes if I see it on TV, I'll watch it. But John Wayne is just an American staple because the sole fact that when movies became huge, he was the centerfold of that. Now I also could have gone with Elvis. Elvis is an actor. Sure. He's kind of like Bruno Mars is the new Elvis for the most part, because he does act. Or no, well, I guess you could say, I don't know. Besides what, I'm getting off the point.
Yeah,
John Wayne is my pick. There it is.
Okay, look, I think John Wayne's not a bad pick because I think John Wayne can represent not just his own movies and himself, but also the Western cowboy genre as a whole, which is its own American thing. Like that's not a thing in other countries and things like that. Cowboy Western movies, war movies, things like that is a pretty American thing. and cowboys and
Yep.
Indians, all that different stuff. I think, I mean, obviously super prolific, hundreds and hundreds of movies. So no, I don't think that's a bad pick. I think picking just John Wayne works here because, like you said, I think he can represent more than just himself in his own movies. I think he represents the genre.
Honestly, I would have gone with the Stallone and Schwarzenegger like feud. It wasn't really a feud because they're friends, but at the same time, it was almost 2 decades of them going back to back, like hit after hit after hit. You got, you got Rambo, Cobra, all the different Rocky movies, all those different the Predator movies, going back and forth, back and forth. Problem is, Schwarzenegger wasn't born in the USA, so I couldn't go with that one.
That's true.
That was a problem. But I could have gone with Rocky. Could have gone with that.
You could have. But you went with John Wayne. So Mike's team here. Let's just recap. So Mike's team is Costco, Flyovers, Muscle Cars, Las Vegas, and John Wayne. My picks are the USA Champ, College Sports, McDonald's, the Big Gulp, and the Statue of Liberty. You will be able to vote on the graphic. Both you check out the TikTok. Mike usually posts that and gets some votes on there. Again, DC Crossover Podcast, and then you also can vote on the on Twitter, the DC Crossover on Twitter, and I'll put a graphic up for that as well.
What are a couple honorable mentions you have?
Yeah, so I have some of my honorable mentions: spray cheese, like Cheese Whiz and stuff.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I have take-home food, like leftovers. That's not really in other countries at restaurants. They give you basically enough meal like for a regular portion a person. Here in America, you got take-home boxes and take-home food. And everything else you picked. I mean, I had Ford Mustangs was my pick. Was one of my picks. Extra large sodas, but I did Big Gulp, so that kind of encompassed that. So yeah, those were most of my honorable mentions. Because I mean, this wasn't going to be a draft where we're choosing like Mount Rushmore or the White House, Washington Monument. It wasn't. I threw in Statue of Liberty there at the end, but this wasn't going to be a draft just filled with that. I think another honorable mention could have been baseball. I mean, it's kind of an American invention.
I had professional sports, which was NFL, all kinds. I could have said NFL, the NFL in general. I also had drive-throughs. That was a big one. I had Disney, not just Disneyland or Disney World. I meant like Disney, like just like the movies in general. We did that draft not too long ago. Ford trucks. I love me some Ford trucks. I would love to get a truck, and it's a Ford truck all day, every day. And to honor my late Pat, U.S. Navy. My family is a Navy family. Through and through for the most part. We have a couple stragglers in there that are in different branches, but U.S. Navy is a big thing. But if I did the U.S. Navy, I'd have to do veterans in general, which I could have done veterans. But we're trying to keep this light. Trying to keep it light. I didn't want. I didn't want to get too emotional when it comes to this
these were solid picks. I think this was again. We know this isn't July 4th anymore, so like the America rhetoric isn't as heavy the week later. But hey, we're keeping it going. We're keeping it going from last week with July.
Keep it going.
Let's just skip trivia this week. We'll give you guys trivia next week. Mike and I will both give you questions. Well, let's move into the final lap here. As Mike said, we're running a little long on this one, but hey, we can do whatever we want. This is a chance to talk about some big stories in sports. First up, the Steelers changed their name, Mike, from Heinz Field to, how do you say this? Like Acrisure Stadium? Ass Stadium? What is this?
You know what? Acrisure.
Yeah, I mean, changing it from Heinz Field though in Pittsburgh, that's big.
Trust me. I know a lot of those people in Pittsburgh, and they're not happy.
Speaking of Pittsburgh, Malkin is going to be testing free agency here, Mike. Is he going to be a Cap?
No way, because I know for the sole fact that he's not going to be a Penguin, it means he's asking too much money. Because they signed Chris Letang, who's getting up there in age, for like 6 years, something like that. Let's be honest here. Malkin's asking for way too much money for being injured way too much.
Gareth Bale signs with LAFC. Kind of cool to see another big name come across the pond.
I love me some Gareth Bale, but the problem is that he was rumored to be at DC United, not in LA, and apparently he got enticed by LA more than DC. But overall, Gareth Bale, I love Gareth Bale. I think he kind of got a bad rap after a couple years in Real Madrid, but overall, he's moving to the MLS.
I don't know if you caught any of the Wimbledon final, but Djokovic wins his 7th Wimbledon and 21st Grand Slam title. It was actually on while we were getting ready in the groom's room at the wedding, and so we were watching, and you know, not like you and I watch a lot of tennis, but still fun every now and then to watch like a final or something like that.
Yeah,
Kyrgios is kind of a nut and yelling at everybody on the court, so he was fun to watch him play against Djokovic for sure.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, two kind of jerks there.
Sweet.
Paulo Banchero averages 20 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds in his 2 summer league games. Right now, he's probably the favorite to win Rookie of the Year. How much stock do you put into summer league stats?
I don't put any stock in a summer league because I don't watch any of it because I think it's all garbage as it is. I mean, I saw Chet Holmgren, who is 7'8" apparently or whatever, and like 107 pounds. Literally, this one guy tried to take a charge from him, or he flopped technically, and I'm like, you can't flop from Chet Holmgren. I mean, Chet Holmgren literally, it's like somebody getting a stick and just smacking you with a stick and you just falling down saying, wow, that was like you hit me with a piece of firewood. It's not even close.
It is very rough to watch. Like I said, I was at the casino watching Summer League and betting on it, and I had like second quarter bet going. And in Summer League, there are so many fouls, and the refs are getting their practice in, so they're just calling everything. And the second quarter took forever. And I'm sitting there staring at my bet slip, staring at the score, like, come on, like, let's just go. Because after the quarter ended, I was going to go do other stuff. And it's like I'm sitting there for 45 minutes waiting for the second quarter end to end. It's brutal to watch. And the Wizards, that's why we're not breaking down Wizards Summer League games, because it's like nobody cares. By the way, did see Richard Jefferson was a Summer League ref the other day.
He really?
Yeah, he donned the ref uniform and did a little reffing. I know he was getting chirped on Twitter about it. I didn't watch any of the clips, but kind of weird.
What's the point of that? I don't get it.
I don't know. We'll also be back with Sultan of Seltzers next week as well. Right. But we'll finish up with the money line. Sponsored by DraftKings. A chance to give you some picks of the week. Mike is leading.
It's open
3
week
here. I had some Wimbledon picks last week. None of them panned out, unfortunately. Well, actually, no. One of them did. I incorrectly put because Rafa did win his the game that I had him losing, but then he forfeited the following game. So no. So I went 1-1 last week. So I'm 12-24. Mike is 14-22.
Not gonna lie, I don't even remember what I did.
Yeah, no worries.
A lot going on last couple weeks.
So you have a 2-point lead as we head into this week's picks. So again, not a lot of sports to bet on right now, but there is golf. I'll start with my lock. I'm going Schauffele, top 10 finish this weekend. So I had plus 50 odds, 150 odds there. And then my dog this week, this is a shot in the dark, Montreal Impact versus Toronto FC. I'm picking a draw, Mike, plus 290, going with the draw. No reasoning whatsoever, but it's soccer, and sometimes they draw. So
screw it. 290 is not terrible, but at the same time, I mean, it's a dog. Alrighty, so my lock, my man Tiger. Tiger makes the cut. Sure. Minus 165. He even said it in a press conference that this is one of the last times he'll probably play at St. Andrews for a major tournament, because he's not playing the schedule he usually plays nowadays. He's getting older up there. So he'll probably start playing maybe 5 to 10 tournaments a year. That includes the 4 majors. So I think right now this is, a time for him, especially because he's been overseas for the last 3 or 4 weeks practicing. And he also did not play. I believe it was the U.S. Open. He didn't play. So I think right now Tiger's got a chance to easily make the cut. 165 minus 165. Depending on what kind of money you want to put on that, you can make some decent money. Not obviously plus money, but the sole fact that you're looking at it. 165, not a terrible cut to make. And my dog, I'm going to take Tommy Fleetwood to miss a cut. Plus 250 in the sense. He's like minus 360 to make the cut. But overall, I just think Tommy Fleetwood he's just a dud. I mean, you look at the guy and you look at his hair, and then you look at like his game and stuff like that. And like sometimes he'll have like a round that he shoots like 63, and all of a sudden the next day he shoots like 78. Like it makes no sense. Like it's kind of like T-Rail Hatton for me. Like they're both English guys, but so I think that's why they get a lot of I guess you could say a pub during the Open. But it's like Tommy Fleetwood and T-Rail Hatton, like they're always ranked. Oh, they're great players. All of a sudden they're missing cuts left and right and stuff like that. It's like I don't understand how you can say like this guy is going to go out there and just like, oh, he's easily going to make the cut. Like, I mean, I understand it's at St. Andrews, but it's not like it's a guarantee. So I'm going to throw the dice out there on the craps table, and I'm going to say plus 250. Tommy Fleetwood misses the cut.
He is coming off of a nice Scottish Open finish, tied for fourth there. Finished at -4.
Didn't watch that one, so
yeah, you didn't watch the Scottish Open. I'm surprised. But Schauffele, I think Schauffele's like the hot pick right now because he's kind of hot, and so that's why I don't.
Rory's the favorite.
Right, and I don't think Schauffele's going to win it all, but that's why I went top 10. I think he will finish there, but people that are choosing Schauffele for the winner, I would disagree.
Hey, top 5 is like plus 350 or something like that too,
right,
so.
Right.
Hey, screw it.
There. So I might be laying some bones down, trying to win back what I lost at the
right.
horseshoe. So that about does it for the episode this week. And again, we'll be popping back here probably next week. We'll do our regularly scheduled programming as we continue the off season. Basically, the off season is until towards the middle of training camp or so, and then we'll get back to some of our regular sports heavy episodes, probably heading into the NFL season.
4 or 5 more weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna live it up. Some more drafts, some more food talk. Hope you've enjoyed these off season episodes. If you have, feel free to let us know. If you can always tweet us at the DC Crossover or at Cerrone16. And then again, the TikTok DC Crossover podcast for all the clips. And you can vote for the drafts on those clips as well, and on Twitter. Also, check out Bird's Eye View. Episode 8 of Season 2 drops tomorrow, Wednesday, the 13th. 8 episodes so far this season. I think it sounds like there's going to be maybe 10 to 12 for this season.
Ooh, nice,
so Erica's doing some great work there. Bird's Eye View with Erica McCall. True stories of professional basketball. I think on this week on the episode, she had I forget the woman's name, unfortunately, but she was in the WNBA and played in the Pac-12 for college basketball. And there's just been some killer guests Erica's gotten. So definitely check out that podcast if you just want to hear some b-ball stories from actual athletes, not Mike and I. That about does it for episode 119. We'll see you next week. This has been another episode of the DC Crossover. See you guys.